Ireland, a country located in Western Europe. Inhabited by 6.4 million people, it is famous for beer, leprechauns, a long history of oppression, and a vivid musical culture, with a heritage dating all the way back to the days of the Celtic Empire.
Throughout history, the Irish folk music has been an important part of Irish culture and self-perception, and the different lyrics and melodies cover what it has been like to be Irish through good times and bad times, oppression, rebellion, and independence. However, a lot of things have changed over the years, and the capital Dublin is as much of an urban European city as any. But has the spirit of the traditional Irish folk music faded away over generations, or is it to be found today? And if so, is the music, with the values and messages it brings along, relevant in contemporary society, or is it merely a display of past culture and history?
The first Celts came to Ireland around 800 BC. Though the people of Ireland were already farmers when the first Celts arrived, the Celtic culture revolutionized Ireland. It brought iron tools and weapons. Another turning point in Irish history came with the introduction of Christianity.
According to tradition, St. Patrick arrived in England in 461 and brings Christianity with him. He was later canonized as the guardian saint of Ireland. Christianity brought wealth to Ireland as well as music, literature and trading, all factors in Ireland's cultural and economical growth. But in the year 795, Vikings from Scandinavia arrives in Ireland and begins to raid the lands. In 841, after the first documented Viking attack, the Vikings found Dublin as a new trading town in Ireland.
But what is best known about the Irish history is the British occupation, which began in 1155 when Pope Adrian IV grants the English king the right to invade Ireland. Only 3 years after Rory O'Connor is anointed the High King of Ireland in 1166, the first English soldiers arrive in Ireland. But already in 1366, the English settlers have been absorbed into the Irish community, and attempts to separate the two groups are made. Intermarriage is made forbidden, and all Englishmen are commanded to only speak English.
The English occupation continues, and in the 18th century, textile industries are in rapid growth in Ireland. But as incomes are growing, so are taxes, and the sky-high taxes paid to the English crown ultimately lead to a severe famine in 1740. Almost 500,000 people die, but the British occupation and taxation continue. In 1798, a rebellion is crushed.
In the mid-19th century, a fatal famine strikes Ireland once again, but this time far worse than any other. The Irish people, which were one of the poorest in Europe, had for a long time grown potatoes, cheaper and easier to grow than wheat. But when a deadly potato illness spread, 1 million Irish dies from starvation.
From then on, there was a burning wish for an independent Irish state, which led to the Easter Rising in 1916. Though the British crushed the rebellion and its leaders were captured and killed, the rebellion was a start to a long and bloody period, leading to the Irish independence and civil war in 1922. Ireland is parted in two, and a fragile peace remains. Finally, the Irish people had won their freedom.
The history of Ireland is long and complicated, and a lot of it is documented here in the Great Library of Trinity College. The distinctive challenges and circumstances of the Irish history has shaped the country over the course of centuries. The Irish national spirit is probably best displayed in the traditional folk music that served both as an emotional outlet and as a way to reflect the society and the national mood at certain points in history.
The traditional Irish folk music is extraordinary for two reasons. Because of its ability to reflect the Irish history throughout decades, and because it has managed to survive and remain important in Irish culture. The Irish music functions as a mirror that reflects the grand and dramatic history of Ireland. One could argue that the Irish music is a product of Irish history, with the different conflicts and historical events leaving their marks.
The music can be traced all the way back to the Celtic Empire, where they used corresponding music in their religious ceremonies. This is why there are certain similarities between ancient music from this period in the Gaelic countries such as Ireland, Britain and Scotland. Because the Irish history was not written down until the country's conversion to Christianity, not much is known about how folk music has been during the Celtic Empire's rule in Ireland. But even the Christian church has an effect on the Irish music.
We are sitting here in front of St. Patrick Cathedral, and actually there are surprisingly many similarities between the Irish traditional folk music and the music of the Christian church.
Let's have a look at a few examples, shall we?
The Gregorian chant shares important characteristics with the contemporary Irish music. For example, there is used the same kind of ornamenting, though crafted upon the same modal system, and both use the classical modes as their base. Furthermore, the rhythms are especially alike.
The traditional form of singing and dancing called sean-nós, which translates into Old Style, was being practiced as far as back then. Because of it being one of the oldest remaining Irish forms of artistic expression, sean-nós is held in high regard today as one of the most respected nationalistic expressions. This explains the ancient vibe of the Irish folk music, as it has remained true to its origins.
The Irish folk music as we know it dates back to the 18th century and is an offspring from the traditional Celtic music. In the early 1700s, the folk music started blooming as the Irish people learned to build better crafted instruments, more people learned how to play, as well as became more skilled, and in general more focus was put on the music.
The instrumentation of this era typically included the fiddle, which has been around since the 1600s and is actually the same as violin.
The uilleann pipes from the early 1700s, a form of a bagpipe that is inflated by bellows instead of air from your lungs.
The boran from the 1600s, a drum held in one hand, beaten with a small stick, which is very commonly used.
The Celtic harp is actually dated all the way back to the 900s. The harp is a string instrument and it comes in several different types. The Celtic harp is the oldest harp and is used in Irish music. The Celtic harp differentiates from the concert harp by its relatively small size and its more sharp, distinctive sound.
A number of different foreign instruments have been included in the instrumentation of Irish folk music over time. This contains the guitar and the bouzouki, which are both added in the 20th century, and the accordion, concertina, flutes such as tin whistle and mandolin, which were all added in the 19th century.
One of the important historical events that has shaped Irish folk music, as well as Ireland itself, is the oppression by the British Empire that colonized Ireland from 1150 to 1922. The pressure and frustration by the Irish population was a catalyst for the Irish nationalistic tendencies in music, creating a union between the Irish people and helping keep the spirits high and not let them give up. Music that then demonstrated in a peaceful, non-provocative manner, for instance by singing the lyrics in the traditional Irish language, making it so that the English oppressors could not understand it.
Now that we have taken a look at the Irish music from a historical point of view, let us go further into details with the theoretical side. There are quite a few definitions of the traditional Irish folk music. Some would define it as music with a wide spectrum of acoustic instruments. This isn't very specific, which is why many refer to it as an authentic genre of music that has been shared orally and is therefore connected to a certain environment.
This is the reason why the storytelling in Irish music is so central and important. The storytelling typically finds its place in the many pubs that are to be found almost anywhere in Ireland. This is where people meet and talk, drink, and listen to enchanting music telling stories about the people of Ireland. It is also very common to find musicians in the street playing out in the open, reminding the natives and the people visiting what formed and is still forming Ireland as a country.
The Irish folk music has a lot of characteristics. As we touched upon earlier, the ornamenting is one of the most important characteristics of the traditional music. These elegant phrasings add extra notes to spice up the melody, so to say, and are very common in the short note style. The rhythm is also a well-known characteristic. One of the primary purposes of the Irish music is the purpose of dancing, and for this purpose the rhythm is absolutely essential. There are three main types of rhythm in traditional Irish music: the reel in 4/4, the jigs in 6/8, and the polka in 2/4. The polka is not originally Irish, but it has its origins in Eastern Europe.
One thing that really makes Irish music to what it is the way the instruments are being played. The traditional way of playing together with other musicians is to play unison. Unison music is music where the musicians play the same notes at the same time, thereby all playing along with the melody in unison instead of playing in intervals.
But it's not only the melodies and the rhythm that stands out. The text is also a measurable factor. Early Irish music was dominated by the so-called bards and poets, travelers with a high status in society who were famous for their delicate work with the lyrics. Their focus was on making the lyrics sound good, which to them was the most important factor in the creation of lyrics, rather than focusing on the depth and meaning of the text. The traditional Irish music is very well preserved as well as ever-changing, as it has been evolving constantly over the course of centuries. A large influence in both how the music has remained so current and alive and how it has managed to branch out in different directions is immigration and emigration.
Immigration is a very important factor in Irish history. As the potato famine killed 1 million Irishmen in 1845, another million of the inhabitants fled the country through immigration, primarily to the Great British countries and North America. Here, they brought along their instruments and musical principles, and the traditional ways of the Irish music affected the music of the different countries. Examples of this can be seen, for instance, in America, where elements from the Irish music can be seen in American music even today.
On the other hand, as people of different nationalities emigrated their native countries for Ireland, they brought instruments and elements from their homes with them, which then in Ireland got mixed together with the Irish folk music. This is why in the 20th century, Irish music grew to contain a larger selection of musical instruments, as globalization offered new different cultures to interact more. Therefore, instruments such as mandolin and guitar can be found in Irish music today.
As you've just heard, Irish music can be a beautiful thing, but does it belong to the past, or is it still relevant? What does the people of today have to say about it? We went out on the streets to find out.
As I said to you there before she started the camera, it means it's hard to explain what it means. It's just different than any other music, you know. There's so many types of music. There's rave, club, there's dance, there's so many types of music. But once I hear Irish music, it's different. It takes me off the dance floor. I'd rather be in a pub just listening to it all, and like it means something. It's unreal. Like if say you go to the west of Ireland, yeah? They go out there, they have people playing Irish music live. You're drinking, you're dancing, they're cooking fish in the in the pubs, like maybe till 5 AM in the morning.
Yeah.
It's just, it reminds me of that every time, like Luke Kelly and everything that happened in the 1916 rebellion.
Yeah, yeah. So
Some people can't understand it. Sometimes I can't understand myself why I love it so much. It's just, it means that's something special. Like I have my country on my arm here.
oh, see.
Ireland. E-I-R-E.
Yeah.
Yeah, that means Ireland in Irish.
Iron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In our Irish language, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So that'll tell you what music means to me. Do you mind if I sit here down by your graveside and read for a while neath the warm summer sun? Oh, you've been working all day and I'm nearly done. I see by your gravestone you are only 19 when you joined the Great Famine in 1916. I hope you died well, and I hope you died clean. That's what I'm saying about 1916.
That's really good, yeah.
I know I sing it, man, a lot, but it's just, it means something, you know?
Do you think it's gonna die out over time?
Oh, that there? Never. No, I'll never die out. I hope not, innit? No, I can't see that ever dying out. Because it means so much to Irish people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Irish folk music have always played an important part in Irish culture and has been relevant throughout history. The music works as a great factor in gathering of the Irish people and is a symbol of Irishness. Today Irish music is still alive and you can still experience the cultural heritage in both contemporary traditional music and popular music. Many modern artists have found inspiration in Irish traditional music and use the elements in their own compositions. Because of the strong nationalistic value as a symbol, the Irish folk music will remain an important part of Irish cultural heritage and national identity as the country evolves in the future.
Today Ireland is separated from North Ireland, which now belongs to Great Britain, and the country is experiencing a rarely peaceful time. They are currently members of the European Union, as well as being part of the Euro. Problems the Irish are dealing with today are primarily those connected to the global economical crisis.
According to one of the Irish people we interviewed, the traditional music of the Irish can still be used to gather people in troubled times, such as the aforementioned economical crisis.
As we visited Dublin, we got to know it as a town in great contact with its past history and culture, whilst still constantly evolving with the world. The traditional folk music is a fantastic symbol of this, as it too has changed remarkably over the years, whilst staying true to its origins. On our visit to Dublin, we experienced several performances that indicates, if not proves, that the traditional Irish music is still as relevant and popular as ever.
From amateurs playing in the street, to professional musicians performing in pubs, to Irish bands mixing elements of the traditional music in with the contemporary popular genres such as rock, pop, etc. Experimenting with the music and allowing it to branch out in all sorts of different directions.
It is because of this open-mindedness towards the music that the traditional Irish folk music has been able to survive and stay relevant over so many years, as its constant evolution has prevented it from going out of style and be forgotten as time has passed by.
Irish music owes a lot to the rest of the world, just as the rest of the world owes a lot to Irish music. Through IMI and emigration, elements of Irish music has been spread to other countries, and characteristics from music of other countries have reached Ireland and made their marks on the Irish music.
As we leave Dublin, we are no longer in doubt of the significance of the Irish folk music, nationally or globally. And to answer the question, we came to Ireland to find out. Yes, the traditional Irish music is still alive and still serves a great purpose.